good, thanks.
Listen, you have taken on a task. AI for good. AI is reputationally right now in the country, maybe in the world, people are very concerned. It is, I saw it booed at a graduation speech. The valedictorian said something about AI being the new industrial revolution, and the kids literally just wanted to go up on stage and drag her out. Why take up the mantle of it to take down the temperature?
Yeah, I mean, I didn't do that intentionally.
Right.
I was reporting on AI, and a couple months into reporting, this is early 2024, I was like, what the hell is this good for? Because I was talking to people who were telling me two things. One, it's going to cure cancer and mitigate climate change, okay? It's going to end human existence, right? And I was like, are those the only two options? Like, is there anything in between? And so I was actually talking to a guy named Danny Hillis, who invented cloud computing. And Danny's now in his 70s. And he's kind of like the Buddha of Silicon Valley. Like, he's just this lovely guy. And I'm complaining to him. I'm like, Danny, this is bullshit. Like, what is this good for? And Danny just laughs. And he's like, you need to imagine the tech without the tech companies. And I was like, I'm a little embarrassed that I didn't realize one could do that.
Can one do that?
One can.
You can separate AI and the technology from Palantir and Altman and Musk.
You can. And so one thing that's really important to know is, like, AI is not one thing. So there are many things that are infuriating about AI.
Yes.
But one of them is the term AI, okay?
Yes.
So AI is actually a series of overlapping but different capabilities and techniques, right? So there's AI that can predict behavior from patterns it sees in data.
Right.
Okay?
Those are the large language models, or that's something different?
There's a part of it that's large language, but not entirely, right? There's classifiers, and what classifiers can do is, like, tag an image, sort your email, flag a tumor on an MRI.
Okay, let's use that one.
Yeah, exactly, right? Then there's optimizers, and they work in logistics, and they can change the direction of something or change pricing really quickly. And then there's Gen AI, generative AI, which is really what has sparked this whole thing in the last 3 years. And that's AI that generates words and images and can create code. And so what they all have in common is speed. They process information faster than any human being possibly could, and with many fewer doubts. And so that's sort of the key.
The lack of doubt.
Both the speed and the lack of doubt.
So what you do in the book, and I think you do it really well, is you show AI as a tool, whether it be in schools. There's a great chapter in there about some teachers in Indiana who are starting to use it with heart MRIs, which are apparently very difficult to get but are diagnostically superior. Non-verbal humans that communicate, and ways to help crack that code to bring those people in. But it's hard to imagine it will remain our assistant.
Yeah, and I think what you're getting at is that we have all been focused on Gen AI and the people who are bringing it to us.
Yes.
And we're human beings, so we focus on human beings, which I think is very wise, because the tech is complicated, and so what is the first thing we do? We assess the people who are bringing it to us.
Right, who are in control of it.
Who are in control of it, and we don't like them.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I didn't want to say anything, but thank you.
It's fine. It's fine.
By the way, hard to like.
Hard to like, okay? So
hard to like.
I'm going to take a mildly unpopular stance and say I'm not sure they're necessarily evil, but they're very alike. They're very similar.
Yes.
And so they're all kind of like racing each other, obsessed with each other, intent on dominating. It doesn't help that they all kind of look like they could be in the Legion of Doom.
Yes.
Right? Like, you got the guy who wants to colonize Mars, the guy who flies into his secret bunker in Hawaii. None of that's great.
You got a guy who literally had to pause when asked if humanity should continue.
Right.
They asked, should humanity continue? And he was like, ooh, interesting question.
Yeah. So, like, not great.
No.
Okay. But at the same time, there's more than one baby with this bathwater.
Yes.
There's a lot of possibility in here.
Yes.
And we want to be really careful in our response to that, which I think is actually a response to capitalism and a skepticism of capitalism, with what this stuff can actually do.
But it's also, we have been hurt before. But let me take you then, we keep saying, well, it is really these 5 guys in these 5 companies. It's Google, OpenAI, AIX, and Anthropic, and
Meta.
Okay. Why do they get it? Why did all the profits of it? AI is, by necessity, a strip mining of us. It is, in fact, extractive in the way that oil might be a resource. Right. And you extract it from the ground, and they did it, and okay, that's theirs. But in Alaska, they get a dividend. Why does Palantir and OpenAI, and why do they get proprietary knowledge that is our knowledge, that they stole from us, that they use to make but they're the ones who get all the money? That makes no sense to me.
Yeah, listen, I agree. And I actually think that politically speaking, there's movement on the far left and on the far right for the federal government to essentially nationalize these products and basically say, look, you're going to have tremendous amounts of control. We're going to have all sorts of labor issues. I did a story for The Atlantic about AI and the future of employment, right?
Yes.
Nobody in the middle knows what I'm talking about. They're not interested in AI. They're like, well, it's kind of on its way, right? The 2 people who said, who agreed, right? On the left, Bernie Sanders said, we need to tax it, we need a robot tax, we need a shorter work week, and we're going to need to nationalize it, right? And so then I went to Steve Bannon's townhouse. I sat with Steve Bannon.
What'd that smell like?
We didn't get that close. This was not my first reporting trip, so I wasn't like, do we start by smelling each other?
I just thought it would be evident.
Yeah, no. Right. So we're talking, and he says, I agree with Bernie Sanders.
Right.
And he said, but he doesn't go far enough. I think we should get 50%, and I think we need to have government control over the boards of these companies. And he said, I know that's not going to be popular with the right, but that's what I believe.
Right, and he doesn't believe it either, is my guess. And he certainly doesn't believe it if a Democrat is in office. I think it's very convenient for them to do the faux populism when it's really about control. But I wouldn't even think it's that radical. It's the sense of, this is a resource. Look, the guys from AI are the ones who agree with you that this is going to be incredibly disruptive for labor. This isn't something that populists have made up.
No.
Dario from Anthropic has said, yeah, this is going to be a bear.
Yes. And what I found in my reporting on that story is that the people who really didn't want to talk about it were the Fortune 100 CEOs.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Now, why do you say that? What do you think that's about?
I think it's 2 responses.
Yeah.
The first is they're actually really scared. Really scared.
That it's going to come for them?
They're scared that they look at their investments in AI and they know what Wall Street wants. Wall Street wants growth. And if they can't show growth through using AI in their products, they can grow by shrinking their workforce. And so they are desperately afraid that that's something that they're going to do and that it's going to be really, really unpopular. And what I would say is, I was impressed. They were aware that they're not acting alone and that if all of them do this at the same time, the consequences for the country are going to be enormous. However, if they don't do it, they're going to be the ones out of a job because the street expects certain things from these public companies.
So they're incentivized to the breakdown of our social fabric.
Correct.
Through a great amount of unemployment. But the thing that I respond to is there's a sense of inevitability around all this, as though we've created a tool that's unbelievably powerful, but we have no control over how it's deployed or how it's used. Imagine if atom bombs were controlled by 5 capitalists in Silicon Valley, and we were all like, they're probably going to start a war at some point, but what are you going to do, capitalism?
Right. And so that's why I actually think it's really important to show people what the positive uses of AI are, because we're going to have this moment, and it's not going to last very long, when we can demand and insist on certain kinds of AI in our lives. If we try to take on all of capitalism, I got bad news for you. It's had a 400-year head start,
right?
And that boulder is rolling down the hill,
right?
And sometimes we've directed it, and sometimes we haven't. But I wouldn't take that on. I think right now we have this brief period where if we can understand what we want from it, how it works, how to use it in ways that it works with human beings and doesn't replace human beings.
Right.
How it amplifies meaningful problems, doesn't create slop. We got a shot. And I would rather focus on the ways in which we have a shot than, as you say, like hunker down, curl up in a ball, and just be like,
right, it's over.
Yeah.
But they're doing their best to prevent that process from happening. And as trillions get funneled into their coffers, millions get funneled back into politicians' coffers to prevent that very thing from happening. They've created a machine that prevents us and is opaque. And again, I go back to, but what is the fundamental driver of their product? Us.
For sure.
And so I don't understand how we have no shareholder voice.
Right. And I think, to me, that's why this moment matters.
Right.
We actually, and I hate to say this,
no,
we're going to have to use the political system to
Stop
change.
it. Stop your, wash your mouth out with soap, young man.
One source of optimism. So up until like a week ago, I would have told you, well, that's just terrible, right? So everybody's, the booing at graduations, the fact that we're talking about this in such negative terms. So for the first 14 months of the Trump chew, a guy named David Sachs was in charge of AI. He also was the crypto czar.
I know.
He also was an investor in all the AI companies. So he's basically like the Cy Sperling of AI, right? He's the president, he's the investor. He stepped down about a month ago. And last week, we reported, other people reported, the Trump administration is thinking of suddenly regulating AI models above a certain power. And I think they're doing that because they know if there is an AI-related disaster, there's photos of all these guys cozying up to Donald Trump.
At the inauguration, they finally realized that.
At the inauguration, at dinners, and they're like, well, that's not great for us.
Yes.
And so the political movement is having an impact. And at the same time as that's working, people are actually making their point of view heard. We do need to demand that the people we elect to Congress have used AI, know the basic functionality of technology.
I'm sure they have.
Oh, they all have, yeah. I mean, they're all training their own models.
What color tie makes voters most comfortable?
So we do have that available to us, and I actually, for the first time, I'm like, oh, that lever is working a little bit.
The problem is, again, I don't trust them to regulate it either because of the corrupt nature of their dealings. I mean, when your two kids suddenly have a multi-million-dollar drone contract with the Pentagon, and like they ran golf courses, and you're like, I don't think that makes any sense. Like the corruption endemic to this administration doesn't give you. We need to establish some form of a way to adjudicate it that is apolitical, and more akin to a commission of trusted advisors.
Yeah, and I think what's happening with the five guys, as we call them, in charge, is that I don't think anybody wants to own the disaster, right? And I think the more unpopular this gets, there is more of an incentive for everybody to sit down and say, how do we want to handle this? And by the way, I would include the Chinese in this, right? From the beginning, we've been told, like, no, we have to beat the Chinese. That's why we can't regulate it.
Oh, that's so interesting. So you think there's a self-preservation that has suddenly occurred to them that we're at the forefront? Because I was of the impression that they felt immune to the vagaries of accountability in our government and also in those Silicon Valley boardrooms.
And I would not speak for them. I would only say the pressure has increased a lot. The consequences have suddenly become much more clear of what failure looks like. So I think there's a window here. Do I trust the Trump administration to push them through the window? No.
Somehow, the metaphor has me confused.
Okay.
The window is good, push him through the window, but then I can't help but think of like, isn't that how Putin gets rid of everybody? Let me ask you though, because this is a purely philosophical question, because I understand the challenges that are ahead for us. But I think as human beings on this earth, the idea that we've designed something that's better than us throws into disarray our entire understanding of almost of even faith. Because what have we said about God? What do we say about the human eye? Well, the human eye couldn't have been created unless it was created by something greater than us. But we've just created something greater than us, and we're less. So does that change almost, Phil, do they reckon with that?
I don't think they do, but
Want to get high and reckon with that? But do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
but how is it that a lesser being creates a better being?
But I guess I look at it differently. Okay, so remember a couple weeks ago the robot that won the half marathon in China, and everybody's saying, oh, the robot beat the humans. So it's like that robot probably had 2,000 programmers and manufacturers who worked on it. So 2,000 people in a robot won that half marathon, in my mind.
You just blew. Oh, hold on. It's a great point. I keep thinking of it as every iteration of it blows my mind more than the next, and it's moving so quickly. I'll tell you a quick story before we go. I was at one of those like Illuminati get-togethers, like in the mountains of Colorado, like one of those things that you're like, that doesn't happen. But it happened. It's always like a conference,
sure.
You know, and they have like, it's like Bill Gates and Musk, and they're all in the room. And there's a good amount of security. And the food is fantastic. And so I thought, well, I'll get a chance. I go up to Sam Altman. And these guys are always like, you couldn't find a baggier, like I was dressed nicer. And that never happens. Mm-hmm. You're literally like, really? Corduroy? Come on, dude. And I said the Industrial Revolution displaced, the globalization displaced, but all those took place over decades. And America still, and the world still didn't adjust to it in the same way. AI may have that same level of displacement over 3 years.
Yeah.
And we can't in any way be prepared for that kind of disruption in that kind of time frame. Laid it out so beautifully, Josh. I was sure that I was the one that he was going to be like, let's get some coffee and talk.
and what did he say?
He goes, we'll be good. And then he walked away. And I was like, huh.
Okay.
That sucked.
Yeah. Sorry.
But thank you for wrestling with these questions. Man, this is going to be the book. Start to read how we can use this as a tool because you're going to need it. AI for Good. Available now. Josh Tyrangiel.